I'm going to do this because everybody doesn't understand. Everybody doesn't have as elaborate a vocabulary as our good sister Piper. Eschatology means end time prophecy. So she sees a correlation between what we teach in the end times and what they teach in the end times. So we have the chart and we have similar, I guess, understanding of end time prophecies. Okay, cool. What else? Is there anything else?
Salakia, I
I
just
feel
wanted
like
to
that's cap.
correct. Hold on, real quick. I wanted to make a correction. I don't know who said that after. There was a room last night. That's why I said what I said about people not knowing. Because when I went up to represent, what British Israelism is and things of that nature, the people who was modded up didn't even know what it really was. They just see Israelism. So that was me saying maybe we should read the definition for people that really don't know. You get what I'm saying?
Sure. So let
Yeah, you
Cap
could.
speak, and we have some
Appreciate
more
you.
questions. Let Cap
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah, you could read the definition, but what happened is, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that there's like anybody, whether it's Christians, whether it's Judaism, whether it's Israelites, you know what I'm saying, who don't have some kind of Messiah who's going to restore the people in the latter days, because that's just the theme of the book. That's something that all of the quote unquote Abrahamic faiths have in common. So to try to utilize that to compare it with people scattered in a diaspora who are either going to be gathered and then redeemed in the last days is kind of like every single person who identifies with the Bible in one way, shape, form, or another. You know what I'm saying? Has that theology. So I think that when you look at what I think Danyaahla is saying, is, are there specific things, like when it comes down to a specific group of salvation, like we say only Israel's going to be saved because the broader spectrum of the world believes anybody could join as long as you follow the code? Like, are there actual specifics outside of something that's a broad brush that everybody follows who looks at the Bible?
Anybody could come off it. I see Garfield came in the room, so anybody could respond to that. Like, are our breakdowns of or understanding of scriptures similar to what their breakdowns too? If what we teach is British Israelism, are our breakdowns besides the 12 tribes chart and Zara brought up another point as far as eschatology, which is end times prophecy. So that's two things that people think are similar to what we teach in British Israelism. Okay. But outside of that, like the rest of the Bible, there's a lot of Bible in between the 12 tribes chart and the breakdown of end time prophecies. There's a lot of Bible in between. So do our breakdowns mirror theirs as well in between? Like, what else is there? I see I'm came off mute. I'll go on mute. Go ahead. Anybody can respond to that because I'm here to understand. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to because I hear this a lot. Like we literally teach British Israelism, and I do understand the points that people make about those two things. The chart, Zara said, the end time prophecies. But outside of that, what about the whole rest of the doctrine? Is our doctrine literally the same as the same as theirs everywhere? Like what Garfield, you
Not
came up
is
with that. Yeah.
Hey, peace and love to you, priest. How you doing, by the way? Peace and love. All right. As far as mirroring, British Israelism is white supremacy. It's white supremacy, and pretty much what the One West teachers, from what I see, I don't know them personally. From what I see, there's a lot of things they take from Herbert Armstrong. For one, I see in your teachings, I don't know if you got it from the One West teachers, but the talk about the Anglo Saxons meaning sons of Isaac. British means Berith, is really Berith ish, which means men of covenant. I seen you and Faithful go back and forth, and that my Hebrew teacher actually did a response to your video when he was going back and forth with Faithful to God. Those, I mean, there's so many things I went over today, but the teachings of the One West, because I look at you as a One Wester. You are
That's
like an
fact.
Orthodox One Wester. I
Of
don't know if
course.
you change your teachings. I doubt it. I think you are trying to prove your elders correct, to vindicate them. That's how I look at you. That's how I look at you in totality. When I look at the images that they're showing on the Louis Theroux interview, I see you showing the same pictures and images saying these people are black. The whole argument about King James or King Masha was David reincarnated. They held to King Solomon, King James being King Solomon reincarnated. Another thing that people don't look at with Hebrew Israelisms and what you guys brought to the table is that the New Testament as Israelites, there weren't really any Israelites in the world or anybody claiming to be Israel that actually believed in the New Testament and pushed it out there. Even when you look at the early people that started Hebrew Israelism in America, they were literally Christians. So you guys claim to be Israelites, straight Israelites, and believe in the New Testament. It's the same thing with British Israelism and the Worldwide Church of God. So there are like me and Yawasap was having a
That's
conversation
only,
with
real quick,
Dan.
Jonathan. That's only three things. That's why. But I want you to continue. That's only three things. You think it's more than three. It's only three things that you said
There's a lot more.
because
I mean, I
you
could go over
said
them.
we
Hold on.
believe in that. So let me run it down to you. I'm gonna give you the floor. I'm not taking the floor from you. I promise. So let's deal with the three things that are on the table. You said that they have a 12 tribes chart. So do we.
I didn't say that.
No. I'm telling you what people say, and
Okay.
you kind of do agree with this. I've heard you teach this
I,
is
I
so.
do I do agree,
They
but I
have a
never
they
just
have a
said that.
12 tribes chart. So do we. That's one. Okay. Zara mentioned before. Sorry. Zara's not here. Piper mentioned that our eschatology, which is end time prophecies, mirror theirs. That's two, right? And then now you're saying one other thing. That's three.
What's the
But
one other
there's
thing that I said? What's the one other thing that I said?
keep going, keep going. I'm gonna tell you in a minute.
I
Keep
said
going.
I said Herbert Armstrong teachings. I see mirrors in what
What is
you
Herbert
teach, which I
Armstrong
think
teaching? Be specific. Be specific.
he's teaching of the like the Anglo Saxons. The name come from sons of
That's
Isaac.
all dealing with the fact that we're saying that certain people are Israelites. That's all trying to identify who the
Hold on.
Israelites are. Whether well,
No, you
hold on,
asked.
Garfield, hold on.
Oh,
Whether we're saying, I'm gonna give you the floor. I promise I'm not taking it from you. Whether we're saying that Israelites are the different tribes over here in the Western Hemisphere, Herbert Armstrong is saying it's the people in Europe. This is all identifying who the Israelites are. So that's still one. That's still
okay.
one.
You know what? I
It's
might
all dealing with
agree.
a chart. Who the
I
Israelites
agree.
are. So
Let
don't
me
tell my
ask you
chart.
this, priest. Priest, let me ask you this. When they say the Anglo Saxons mean sons of Isaac, where did you guys in One West get that from?
I got that. I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna speak to you specifically. I got that from a book which you are already familiar with called "Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race."
Okay. Now let me ask you this. Who was teaching that? Who's publicly who where did you get the idea to get that book from?
I got that from my elders. Absolutely, I'm not denying that.
Okay.
But
Now
that's not.
now
You're not.
I am
You're,
saying
you're,
I am saying
what are you doing? What you're doing
I am
though?
saying
What you're doing though
okay,
is you're making a lot of points at one point. We already agree that the people that were teaching that the Anglo-Saxons are Israelites, that's where they get their chart from. So that's one of the things that you guys teach that we stole.
okay.
They teach
Let me ask
they
you a
use
fair
they
question.
use
Let me ask you a
history and
fair
say
hold on, priest. Let me ask you a fair question and I'm done. Do you teach that the Israelites are the Scythians that came over after the Medes were taken to the Israelites were taken to the era of the Medes by the Assyrians? Do you teach that
okay,
that's when
I don't
the lost tribes?
the way you're presenting it. No, do I teach that there were Israelites that were Scythians? Of course, of course.
Okay,
But the way you're
where
presenting
did
it,
you get that?
I
Where did you
don't.
get that from? Where did you get that from?
That's in books, bro, and you know that's in books. That's
No.
in books.
In whose books?
What do you mean in whose books?
British Israelites books.
Not just
There's
people.
nobody. This is the worldwide.
Not
Hold on. This
just
is my
people.
point.
You're saying that the only people that have put this in books is people that believe. Well,
Hold
no,
on.
no, no,
If you hold on a
no,
second,
no,
you're not gonna pigeonhole me to
no.
one point.
I'm not trying to pigeonhole you. You said something, so
I'm
I'm trying to
saying that the
be
British
clear.
Israelites are the first to teach that the Scythians As far as my research is
I,
concerned, they've been teaching this for a while. Hold on, hold on. Let me make my
I
point. Let me make my
didn't
point. You
say
could keep your mic
nothing.
open.
I didn't
I don't
say
mind the back and
nothing.
forth.
Damn,
What
Garfield,
I'm saying is,
you too
what
touchy.
I'm saying is,
I didn't
you
say nothing.
guys, no, no, no. What I'm saying is, you guys stole that and copied that teaching because you have. This is how you guys get the Indians in America, because if the Israelites left, because we have proof within the biblical text saying that some of them stayed in the land of Assyria, pretty much everybody that was there, because it's in First Chronicles, and it said that up to this day we're still here today. So if in First Chronicles it's telling us that about the tribes that went to Assyria, the ones that went to Medes, we have a tradition in Esther, in Tobit, in all that stuff, showing a tradition of them staying in the land. What I'm saying is, your elders are you copied. I'm gonna put it on you. Your elders are you copied what British Israelism taught about the exiles leaving
Maybe.
with the whole Scythians argument. Hold on, because there's no other group of people that they're the ones that came up with that. Whether other people said it after is fine, but this is all
What proof
around
do you have that
Anglo-Israelism.
everybody that
All
taught
around.
that was?
Let me
What
finish this
proof do
last
you have
point.
that
Let me finish
everybody that
this last
taught
point.
that was into British
Let me fi-
Islam?
let me finish. Let me
What
finish.
proof
Let
do
me
you
finish.
have?
Let me
You
finish.
don't
Let
have
me
proof
finish
for
this
that.
last point.
That's why
Let
you
me
tell
finish
me
this.
that.
Let
Go
me
ahead, go
finish this
ahead.
last point. Let me
You're
finish
right,
this
Gar.
last point. The fact that the Israelites leaving and going into the world, whether you want to say Europe or the Indians or wherever, I am saying that that thought, that process that they talk about leaving from the Medes area, that's British Israelism, Anglo Israelism, Worldwide Church of God. That's the basis of that argument. That's where it comes
Can
from.
you prove that? Can you prove that David McRitchie was a British Israelism into British Israelism? Can you prove that?
All right. Can I show you before
No,
David Ritchie
no,
said it that
no,
somebody else said it?
no. You said
All
no,
right.
no, 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 no. No, I got the floor. You said the
Go ahead.
people that no. You said the people that teach that they believed in British Israelism. I gave you a name because you're making these blanket statements because everybody on the stage is not familiar with this history. Oh, not, and there's no disrespect to everybody. Me and Garfield are the most intimately understanding of this history. That's why I'm pressing him. He made a statement. He made a blanket statement. He said everybody that teaches that is into British Israelism. Okay, well, David McRitchie taught that, right? We know Thomas William Shaw that wrote The Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race. He also taught that. Can you prove that Thomas William
Hold on.
Shaw?
What
And
did
well,
they
no,
teach?
no,
Hold
no,
on.
no,
Hold on.
hold
Hold on.
on,
I'm
Dan.
sorry.
No, hold on,
Can you
Dan.
say what
No,
they
hold
taught?
on,
Hold on.
Dan.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear that part. I didn't hear that
Okay, so
part.
let's
You
do it
chip
again.
on.
Let's do it. Let's do it again because you made a statement. So I'm here. I'm here for it. You said the people that teach this, they were teaching British Israelism. Okay, fair enough. Can you show me in a primary source that David McRitchie was into British Israelism because he taught this stuff? Can you show me that Thomas William Shaw, that wrote Ancient and Modern Britons, was also into British Israelism? Because you made the statement, you made the claim that everybody that teaches that these people are Israelites and they were black was into British Israelism and all this other stuff. Then we stole it from them. Do you have a source that says what you said? I know that these guys do say these things, but what source do we have that they were into British Israelism is what I'm asking you.
All right. Let me just first repeat what I said. I said that the teaching of the Scythians being from the lost tribes of Israel, from the northern tribes, is a British Israelite thought. Now, I said it surrounds Anglo-Israelism, British Israelism, and the Worldwide Church of God. Are you saying David McRitchie and Mr. Shore? I think Mr. Shore is the same guy that Shaka. I'm not familiar with him, but I'm very familiar with David McRitchie. I don't know if I could find a primary source. I'm not going to lie or even attempt to look for it. But British Israelism stems from before them. So
No,
the point,
what
the
I'm,
point,
what
the
I'm,
point. Excuse me.
no, you got it, you got it. Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, the point is British Israelism stems from before them. So you're saying David McRitchie thought that the Scythians were the lost tribes of
I
Israel from the
didn't say that.
northern
I didn't
tribes?
say that. I'm
That's
telling
the
you the
point we're
people.
talking
Hold on,
about.
hold on, hold
That's the
on,
point.
hold on, Garfield. Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's rephrase the question. Let's step back and let's rephrase the question. Here's what I'm going to ask you, because the reason why you and I are having this conversation is because you know that there are people that teach the Scythians are from the lost tribes of Israel. Okay,
Hmm.
cool. You know that, and I know that.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Do you have a source from anybody? You can name whoever it is. You have a source from anybody that teaches that tells you they were into British Israelism. You could pick your scholar, and I want you to show me whatever scholar you pick. I want you to show me that they were also a follower of British Israelism.
That taught that. So hold on, just to be clear, are you saying David Marici taught that?
That's not what I asked you. I asked you again.
Okay,
We
I think
have
that's where
you
the
and
mix-up
I
is. I thought you were
both
saying David
agree. You and
Marici
I
taught
both
that.
agree that the reason why we're having this conversation is because there are scholars, authors that have written books, articles, so forth and so on, that said the Scythians are of the lost tribes of Israel. You and I both know
Hmm.
that. That's why we're having this conversation.
Okay.
You can pick the person, doesn't matter who it is, that's made the claim. What I'm asking you is to also show whoever you pick that they were a follower of British Israelism. That's what I'm asking you to do.
Herbert Armstrong.
Herbert Armstrong was a follower of British Israelism.
Yep.
Okay.
He's a part of the Worldwide Church of God, which is a part of Christian identity or whatever.
Originate.
It's
So
all connected.
is he the originator of this information?
Of British Israelism, no, I never said that.
Okay,
I'm
so
saying
so it
this
doesn't
is
matter if he
you
said
know the
if
chart.
he
Hold on.
propagated. Well, hold up. It doesn't matter if he propagated it. I want the person that originated it for you to show me that they were a part of British Israelism. That's what I want. Whomever the author or the originator of it was, show me that they follow British Israelism. That's what I'm saying. Wherever it comes from, not somebody that propagated it, because you say I propagated it, so I'm not important. Herbert Armstrong is not important either because we propagated according to you. Cool. Okay. Who originated it? And then show me that person that originated it was part of British Israel. And that's what I'm asking you. Go ahead.
Hold on there. How did we get from the Scythians, you guys copying the Scythians, to me showing somebody?
Because you
How does
say,
how does one relate to the other? Hold on, let me finish. How does one relate? It seems like I'm being dragged to a whole nother conversation to show a
you're
primary,
not.
which I possibly wouldn't be able to find right now. So why is it I'm being dragged over there? The point was British Israelism teaches of the Scythians. I'm
It
saying that
doesn't
the
matter
one
what
West
they teach.
teachers.
Where did
Hold
they
on, hold
get
on,
it
hold on,
from?
priest,
Show the
priest. You don't,
person that
priest. You
originated
don't
it
interrupt,
had that idea.
priest. This is
You know
priest.
what
This
I'm
is
saying,
not like you
Garfield. You're
to
not
interrupt,
stupid.
bro. Hold on,
You're
hold
right.
on.
I'm
I'm not.
sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, no. That
I'm
is not
sorry.
like you.
I'm
This
sorry.
is the
I'm
point
sorry.
that I'm making. I'm making that one West teachers started their thing from around 1969, right? I don't know what teaching they had at 1969, but eventually they started teaching that the Scythians are the lost tribes, somebody within the organization. I am saying that that idea is a British Israelite idea. You're
Did it
now
originate
saying,
with
hold
them?
on, hold
Did it
on, hold on,
originate with
hold on,
British
hold on,
Israelism?
hold on, hold
Is
on.
that the
You're
origin?
said, hold on. That I never said that
So
was the origin of
then
the
why you even
idea.
bringing British
I am
Israelism up?
I am
Why
saying
even
that
bring it up
I am
then?
saying I'm saying to you, this is showing how you guys were influenced by
How do you
British
know
Israelism.
that?
Because you guys are regurgitating the same thing. All you're
But
doing is
you just said
changing
you don't
colors.
know if it
No, I don't.
originated with
No, I
them. So how do you
listen.
know we got it from them? How do you know we got it
Who?
from them?
All right. Who did you guys get it
No,
from?
no, no. You're
Who did
making
the Ellis get it from?
you are
You
making
know
the
what?
claim.
Let me back off because I wasn't an
You
eyewitness.
are making the
Yeah, Danya. He
claim.
want you to give him the answer that you
He's
asking him the
making the
question to.
claim. He's making a claim. Then he's turning around and saying, "I'm not saying that the British Israelism actually originated the idea." Okay, so then how do you know the elders of One West got it from them? Where does the idea
Because you guys are
originate?
teaching. They're teaching the same, pretty much the same identical thing. That's what you
So
guys are
that
teaching.
wasn't even the original question of Garfield. Like we don't
No, but you
deny,
guys are
we
you
don't.
deny? All right, okay. You know
Garfield,
what?
hold on, because you came in the room
Are
late.
you
Garfield, you came
denying
in the
that they
room
got
late.
it from? Are you
Garfield, you're
denying?
coming into the
Are
room late. Garfield, you
are
came into the room late. So let me help you, and I'm gonna give you the floor. I promise. I'm not disrespecting you. I'm giving you the floor. I asked the question before you came into the room because there are claim that the title says what it says, and you were teaching what you were teaching, and you're live today. So I will not deny that British Israelism has a chart for Israelites. I won't deny that. So do we. I spoke to my sister Piper. She said um, another similarity between what we teach and what British Israelism teaches is the end time prophecies. Okay. Then I saw you come into the room and you start telling me about the Scythians, so forth and so on, which kind of is the first thing. in terms of a chart, like these people are this people, these people. So it's really the same thing. So I said, outside of those two things, where we try to identify certain people as Israelites, whether it's a chart or not, Scythians are Israelites or not, which is really the same thing, and end time prophecies, there's a lot of Bible in between that. That's what I said. A lot of Bible in between that, a lot of doctrine in between that. Outside of those two things, what are the other similarities between what we teach and British Israelism? So far on the stage, I've only heard two things. I've heard a chart, then you come in and you say, well, the Scythian thing, that's kind of lending to the chart argument. It's the same thing, identifying certain people as Israelites. It's the same argument. And what Zara said in terms of end time prophecies, okay, cool. I'm here to learn. What else, out of all the other things we teach, match British Israelism, Garfield? What else, please?
But I have another one. I have another one. I have another one. Can I just go
Yes,
for a
of
second?
course, Piper.
Yeah, you
Okay.
you you can you
So,
can absolutely go. Just know Hebrew Israelism and one Wester are gay terms.
oh, okay. Well, so a sect or a branch of the British Israelites, yeah, they teach the same idea as far as the importance of, yes, believing in, we're just going to say Jesus because that's what we're going to do, but also keeping the law. So, like, they believe you must keep Shabbat, you have to keep the feast, you need to have the dietary restrictions down pat, like that sort of thing. So, I think that's a similarity, and I think that that would be more unique, if you will.
Because Piper's my girl, I'm going to accept that. Although I will tell her that first century Christians like the Ebionites, right, and others were law keepers too, right? The Ebionites and others, they were law keepers too. You could look that up. First century Christians were law keepers as well, right? The Nazarenes were law keepers as well. So I wouldn't put that on British Israelism, but I understand your argument, Piper. All praises.
I'm
With that
saying
being said,
in
yeah,
I'm saying the
go ahead.
combination of those things. So we have a chart, plus keeping the law, plus the faith in Jesus, plus, to me, similar eschatology. I think like there's a recipe for some similarities here, you know. I think so, like the combination of it all, because we can say, yeah, like this group over here teaches that, and that group over there, but the Ebionites, I don't believe they had a chart. I don't know why they would. Do you know what I mean? Like Seventh Day Adventists, yes, they
Um,
teach that Saturday or the seventh day is the Shabbat, but like they don't have a chart. So I think like the combination of it.
Sorry, you kind of muted before you finished your sentence. I don't know. Were you finished? You kind of went on mute.
I'm in the hellhole of Iowa, so I have bad service.
You in Iowa?
We're not going
Oh,
to talk
okay.
about it. We're just not going to talk about it.
Yeah,
Not for
I'll leave it
long.
alone. I'll leave it alone.
I'll be
I'll
in
let
Texas.
Garfield go
Don't you
ahead. Let
worry.
Garfield go ahead. Garfield ready to get at me. Garfield. I'm gonna listen intently. I ain't got nothing to say. Go ahead, bro.
I'm actually live on YouTube and forgot, yo, talking to
Yeah, I
you.
saw Mika put that in the chat. She's like, Garfield, you know you still live, right? I saw that.
Yeah, I totally forgot, yo. I muted my mic.
That's
I was
why.
playing a video anyway. Well, give me a second. I'll be right back.
All praises. Yeah. Hey, remember, these are great conversations.
Hey,
I love. I'm gonna give it to you right now. But no, I love to have these conversations. We need to have these conversations. We're gonna make a whole room on why Zara's in Iowa another time. Mother Steph, we gotta investigate that. With that being said, go ahead,
yeah, I
Philip.
don't want to steal the floor, but I just want to give my opinion on, some things. You don't gotta uh believe me because I said it, right? But as I was talking to Garfield about this topic last night, and he watches us and he listens to us very like often. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I listen to him as well too. And I just don't think that Garfield understands from a particular perspective of what we're saying concerning British Israelism. I would say what I'm saying for what I was saying yesterday about British Israelism. Like he'll ask us a question like, "Oh, so you're saying that the Scythians are Israelites?" I had to readdress Garfield. I don't believe the Scythians is one particular group of people as far as ethnicity. I believe that they were called Scythians because they were particular tribes from a particular portion, which were was a multitude of different particular ethnicities, which were called Scythian. So as I explained this to him, he continued to say, that's what this person teaches, that, but that's not what I understand from my perspective of lens in history, because I know other histories. So coming from a person that says he accepts oral tradition of particular people, just giving my opinion, from a person that says it's white, uh, racism and white supremacy. So if you think about the history of white supremacy has come to the Native American coast, the island of Borican or Puerto Rico, and have literally relabeled things in the name of white supremacy. So to understand the indigenous oral traditions here, Garfield would say he'll accept the indigenous origins or oral traditions of particular places, but it seems like because his view of one West, and because we're kind of like quote unquote gatekeepers of particular histories and we have a particular view, he won't accept that we're saying particular oral traditions, right, have been usurped and have been presented with other faces around it. And they
That's a
have
good point.
definitely emphasized, that was my point to you yesterday with
That's a good point.
British Israelism. And when I tried to express that there was a system of iconoclasm and whitewashing, and I was trying to explain that there was black rulership in Europe, you said that's a lie. You said that was not a history. So, to my point of view of what was taking place during the time of humanism, during the time of the Renaissance and things of that nature, um, and we know that that's a true time in history in Europe. That's a very long history in Europe, the religious warfares that were taking place. We do know that there were particular royal families that were removed and particular royal families that were substituted with those royal families. And my sentiment on uh, British Israelism, if you want to call it, is in the same sense of these people had oral traditions. Like you can go into particular books and they have listed the kings that descend from particular houses. I mean, are we just gonna throw that away if that's their old tradition? Are we not gonna utilize that as some form of history? That was my point yesterday. So I just didn't understand your stance on it.
Hey, let me say this, Pana. With all due respect, I'm gonna ask you this, right? I'm gonna get to the point of British Israelism. Do you believe? I'm gonna get straight to the point. And this goes to priest. Do you believe that the Cimbri are the Cimmerians that's in the Cimmerians that's from the ancient Near East? The Cimbri that the Welsh talk about. Do you connect the Cimbri to the Cimmerians in the ancient Near East?
Well, I believe the Welsh, it's not the same as Simri, but I think it's
Cymri,
what
the British would say a direct. Okay.
Zimri, Zimri, Zimri,
No,
right?
Cymry is what the Welsh say. And the connection
Humri.
is with Cimbri with the Sumerians. I'm asking if the hold on,
Oh,
this is what
okay,
I'm
I see what you're
asking. Do
saying.
you
With okay,
guys
with
teach
Humri.
that the Welsh Cymri is directly connected to the
No,
Sumerians? Cimmerians. And that goes
Wait,
to priest also. Does priest teach
to
that?
the Sumerians?
Cimmerians. Because the Cimmerians is and the Scythians, that's where the whole argument about them turning into Saka and using the word
Well,
sake and all that
so
stuff.
here's the thing. Here's the thing, Garfield. And this is what I said to you the other day in another room. This is up. This is subjective. In other words, it's up to the people to decide. The reason why you're asking Panam and myself that question is because you and I both know there's books that say that. There's books that say that. Not just ancient and modern Britons, but you want to argue against. There's other books that say it too.
No,
There's more. There's not one. Well,
I'm
hold on,
not
hold on,
disputing
hold on,
that. I just want
hold
to
on.
know
I'm
if
gonna
you
be quick.
teach
I'm gonna be
that.
quick, King.
I just want to know if
I'm
y'all
gonna be
teach that.
quick. I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna be quick.
Okay.
I promise. I want to give you the floor. You asked Panay questions, so I'm jumping in to tell you. For the people that are not familiar with this side of history, like me and Garfield have had these arguments for years. Some of y'all, have seen us, me and Garfield arguing this on Sonetta TV, whatever. We have these arguments for years. Garfield is asking this because he's aware there's books that say this. This is where I told you the other day in another room, history is subjective. You have to decide whether you believe it or not. But don't play it as though, and I'm not saying you're doing this, don't play it as though there's not books that say this. And they give their reasons and their methodology as to why they say these things. So you're asking me, do I believe it? Yeah, there's history that says that, and I believe that it could be plausible. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? You don't agree that it's plausible? Absolutely. So people have to do their own research based on the scholarship that's out here. But it does exist, and I just heard you admit it does exist in multiple books. In multiple books, it exists. So yes.
Okay, that's another thing British Israelites teach. Let me ask you this: the bit Qumri, because I heard Yahweh stop say this the other day. I don't know if you Panah teach this. I don't know if Priest Danyaahla teach this. Do you teach that the name Bit Qumri, which is a name that the Assyrians refer to the Israelites, was also a name that was similar to another name that the Babylonians use for the Scythians and the Saka?
So real quick, Bernard, if I
Well,
may,
yep, yeah, go
wait,
ahead.
Bernard, if I may, because this is what I was trying to tell Garfield before. Now I don't think he's understanding what I'm trying to tell him. All these arguments about do we believe these Scythians and these different people in Europe are Israelites are all really genetically related to the argument about the 12 tribes charts, trying to identify certain people groups as being Israelites. That's what the whole 12 tribes chart of British
Agreed,
Israelism is.
agreed,
Wait.
agreed.
So that's what I said when you first came into the room. What you're doing now is you're stratifying the same argument down into different parts, but it's the same argument. Israelism teach that certain people groups in Europe are Israelites. That's why they have a 12 tribes chart. So that was your argument. The Israelites that come out of One West have a 12 tribes chart that they break down and stratify because they have books that say people over here in the Americas are Israelites. It's the same thing with British Israelism. So that's one argument that proves the argument that we stole the stuff from British Israelism. That's only one. No matter how many different people groups you mention, because that's all I hear you doing. You mentioned this people group and this people group and this people group is all related to saying that people in Europe are 12 tribes the way that we say that people in Americas are 12 tribes. There's only one argument, no matter how much you try to stratify it. Then my sister Piper brought something forth about eschatology or end time prophecies. That's two arguments that are similar to what British Israelism teaches. What I'm asking you is outside of these arguments of people groups and end time prophecies, what else? And I'm here to learn. What else is it that we teach that's similar to British Israelism? Like all the other doctrines that they have outside of people groups and end time prophecy. What else do you have, Garfield? What else?
You have to add my point in
No, but
there.
no,
I had a
I'm
second
sorry,
one.
Piper. You did say something else. What was the third one? Sorry.
The keeping of Moshe's law.
We have to keep the law. So Piper also said that we teach that we have to keep the law similar to British Israelism. So that's three. That's three arguments so far.
With the
What else do you
caveat,
have,
hold
Garfield?
on, with the caveat that it's strictly to the biblical sense and it ignores like the Jewish halachot, basically.
Damn, Garfield. Piper is helping you out a lot with your argument. I wanted you, and I have a class right now, like in 2 minutes. What else you got? I got to go in 2 minutes, Garfield. What else do you have? What else? 'Cause Piper
The
is helping you
whole
a
the
lot.
whole thing of the camp leaders calling themselves King David reincarnated is the same way how King James was called Solomon reincarnated, and the British Israelites used to spread. They used to push the house of King David lineage through the British royal family. So it's the same way how that was done. I don't know if One West is holding to that. The Israelites are King David or King Solomon. I don't know if anybody claimed to be King Solomon reincarnated,
So,
but I know King David was reincarnated and said that he would destroy the world or something like that. Mashallah.
so you still have Captain Conscious, you still have Panah here. So I got to go because out of class right now. I got to teach. But what I will say, Garfield, in all respect, you know, me and you is always in rooms, so we can always continue this. All of your arguments are circling around like identity, which is it's a chart. It's the same thing. It's like it's all genetically related. No matter how you try to stratify, it's all genetically related. It's all the same argument. I'm not hearing where the rest of the doctrine outside of identity is similar to British Israelism. That's what I wanted you to show me. I might miss it. So if I miss it and I come back into the room later,
Let
y'all
me
can
let
fill me
me let me
in.
ask you one
I
last
got a
question
class,
before you go.
Garfield, man. My class starts at 3
Before you
o'clock. Go
go,
ahead, go ahead.
before you go,
Jesus Christ. Go ahead, Garfield.
The Jews that are historically connected to the Medes area, that where do those Jews come from that are there today?
I feel that's a long conversation. I can't. I got a
Because
3 o'clock class.
the book of
It's
the
3:01. My
okay.
class is supposed to already started. It's crazy.
All right, go ahead, my brother. My bad.
I'm
My bad.
sorry.
My
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
bad.
could
I'll come back.
I could
I'll come
answer
back.
that. I think I answered it for you yesterday, though, Garfield.
Where did you say they came
I
from?
am at work though.
Where did you
Wait,
say they
ask
came
that
from?
question. You just asked about the
The
Jews
Jews
and
that have a tradition, like for example, in the book of Tobit, it talks about the people from the tribe of Naphtali living in the region, and Ekbatana in the book of
yeah,
Tobit, and also in the book
The
of eh,
Nephtalians, right? Yep,
yeah,
yep,
Naphtalian,
yep.
and in the book of Esther, where those Jews come from who are connected to Xerxes the first, because that's around 6th century BC. I want to know, where do those Jews come from if they're not connected to the Jews that were taken, or the Israelites that were taken to the Medes era, which became part of the Persian Empire.
Remember what my answer was to you. I'm not under the popular opinion of the date or that specific uh Artaxerxes is in history, because I believe that the silent cylinder, like I told you, when it talks about the people of Marduk, um, even Mordecai being in the epithet of Marduk when he was given a particular seat, that's what he was called. But you see Mordecai come back in the times of the first um, migration back to Jerusalem, and that was 538 BC under Zerubbabel, right? It literally says Mordecai left in the captivity, and so that's what 608 BC, and he returned. Mordecai Bilshan was a title, so you'll see a comma in between Bilshan, but that was Mordecai's title. When you see the people who return, it says Mordecai, it says comma Bilshan, but in ancient well in the actual history, he was given the title Mordecai Bilshanu, which was Lord of the people. So I believe that Ahasuerus was Kurush or Cyrus. Okay, and I believe that's when the liberation and the actual casting of the lots of Purim happened after the 70 years. That's just my belief, because when you read the Cyrus cylinder, he talks about the Uman Manda, which I talked to you about, the Scythians being a label group of those who originated around the Russian steppe. What you see Danites, what you see Judites, where you see particular races of people come together and were labeled under the Scythian tribes. This is why you see Haman come from Macedonia, which are the Isles of Greece and those islands. So I believe that the timeline is not necessarily correct according to popular history because of the Cyrus cylinder.
So the Bible